Okay. I am getting everything ready. Sorry for running late. I am getting everything ready. Sorry for running late. And at the moment, I'm doing audio test. Okay. I am getting everything ready. Sorry for running late. Everything sounds good on Kick and on X. Let me get that broadcast going on X. I've got it started now. I have to create the broadcast. So let me go ahead and do the post. And we should be that broadcast going on X. And right now, like I said, I'm just doing my audio tests and getting everything going. And after that, I will start the show. So I have that done on X. We're set up. We're set up on Kick as well. And Rumble sounds good. And now I'm checking with that. I will checking with YouTube. That sounds good as well. Today I am also doing Twitch. Hopefully it works. Last time I was doing it, it kept bouncing in and out, and the actual broadcast was broken up into little video pieces, which I did not really like that. So I am having some issues with Twitch. I thought that I had it taken care of whenever I adjusted the frames per second, but so it sounds good so far, but you never can tell. So we have that going on. I also want to mention or say a thank you to Baby Alexis RLW69 on Twitch for following me. Appreciate that very much. Thank you for the support. I also like to thank the other ones on Kick who supported me as well. Let me hit refresh real quick before I get started. Everything started acting weird on there. Okay. So let me make sure everything's up and running before I get started. And of course everything's acting weird now. So let me find out and make sure everything's running up before I even get started. Like I said before, I'm not going to be streaming anything from WoW onto Odyssey. If it's mines related, I will be doing that with mines, but that's it. If it's mines related, I will. Okay, so we got Kick back up and going. Alright, sounds like I am good to go. I have everything situated. I'm not going to be using Skype or Discord or any of the other ones for this, because I've been doing it for the last week or two, and nobody really wants to get on and have conversations about this stuff. So I figured I would go ahead and just get everything going and do the readings. I enjoy it this way when it comes to ancient history too, because like last year, we ended up getting off topic and talking about other things that had absolutely nothing to do with what I was doing. So this year, I kind of find it easier for me to deal with if I can actually just put the story out there and get it going. I'm getting to the top of my talking points, and I found it. So after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step away for a second and use the bathroom, get some coffee, and things of that nature, and I will come back and I will start the show. I'll hit record and start the show. So thank you guys for stopping in, and I will be back to start the show. Plus it gives me a chance to see what's going on with the stream as well. So I will be back, guys. Okay, I am back. Now I am ready to start the show and get it going. Let me go ahead and hit record real quick, do my countdown and start recording, and I will get into the show. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, now. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ancient Mysteries, otherwise known as Ancient History, which I had on the Praetorian, but I switched over to Strange Stories and on YouTube, as well as The Wonderful World of Weirdness. Now, today I am going to continue where I left off. I was wanting to get into another area, another topic that I was wanting to get into. I've been pretty excited about things, but as I continued to pull up all the information that I needed, where I left off last week, I decided that I wanted to continue in this direction because it actually goes into some pretty interesting stuff. So with that, I am going to continue with that area that I was talking about concerning Cassius, and go further into that with the myths that started out with the Phoenicians and the Canaanites and all of the groups in that region, which actually connects to the Sumerians as well as the Greeks. So for people who are into this kind of discussion, this is where it starts getting a little bit more interesting. So with that being said, let me go ahead and start with my readings and see where we go. So the myth grows richer and more intricate with the introduction of Cassius, Lebanus, Anti-Libanus, and Brathi as descendants of light, fire, and flames. Each of these figures can embody distinct aspects of their elemental lineage, creating a multifaceted generational myth that explores cosmic forces and their influence on creation and existence. Let's delve into their roles and relationships within this expanding mythos. The name Cassius suggests strength and resilience, possibly derived from cas, to strike or cut, reflecting a fury, dynamic nature. Cassius embodies the pioneering spirit, representing action and the pursuit of discovery. He is the manifestation of fire's transformative powers, using destruction as a means of forging new paths. In cosmic terms, Cassius might symbolize the blazing force that clears the way for creation, much like a wildfire revitalizing a forest. As the bridge between raw elemental energy and spiritual refinement, Lebanus continues to represent purification and divine connection. His essence aligns with the sacred rituals that honor the cosmos, elevating the primal energies of his lineage to a higher purpose. Lebanus could be seen as a figure who guides humanity in understanding and balance between chaos and order. Anti-Lebanus suggests opposition or balance to Lebanus, reflecting the duality of complementary forces. Anti-Lebanus embodies reflection and opposition, not as a source of conflict, but as a balancing force. He represents the shadow of Lebanus's light, illustrating the cosmic principle that every force requires its counterpart for harmony. Anti-Lebanus could symbolize the cooling and tempering aspect of fire, ensuring that creation does not spiral into unchecked destruction. The name Brathi evokes imagery of flickering flames, suggesting a restless, vibrant energy. Excuse me. Brathi represents the I have a hard time with this one. Ephemeral and ever-changing nature of fire, the flicker of inspiration, and the unpredictability of creative forces. She could embody the spark of genius, fleeting but capable of igniting profound change. Brathi's role in the cosmic order might be as the bringer of inspiration and the keeper of life, of life's fleeting moments. Together, Cassius, Lebanus, Anti-Lebanus, and Brathi form a complete cycle. Cassius, the bold initiator, blazing trails. Lebanus, the sanctifier, refining and elevating. Anti-Lebanus, the counterforce, maintaining balance. And Brathi, the spark, bringing inspiration and unpredictability. The four siblings embody the evolution of elemental force, moving from primal creation to the sophisticated cosmic dance. Their interactions reflect the dualities and complementaries within the universe, creation and destruction, light and shadow, permanence and transience. The siblings could be as extensions of the classical elements, which is fire, and that's Cassius, and then air, which is Brathi, earth, which is Lebanus, and water, which is Anti-Lebanus. Their roles mirror cycles in mythology, the seasons with each sibling representing a phase of transformation. The balance of yin and yang as seen in Eastern philosophies. Myths often feature sibling dynamics that drive the narrative forward. The Titans and Olympians in Greek mythology, for example. So you have that going on. Now, Cassius, the flame of ambition, represents humanity's drive to explore and innovate, often through struggles and adversities. A symbol of fire's dual nature, destructive yet essential for renewal. Libinus is the sacred guide, which embodies the spiritual journey, leading humanity to higher understanding and purpose, and represents the sacred connection between the divine and the mortal. Anti-Libinus is the balancing force, a reminder that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, emphasizing the importance of balance in all things. It also reflects the necessity and restraint and contemplation. It also reflects the necessity of restraint and contemplation. Now, Brathy is the spark of life, and that highlights the fleeting, precious nature of existence and the beauty of impermanence. It inspires creativity and the pursuit of the ephemeral. The ephemeral. That's a hard word to say. Ephemeral. The tale of Cassius, Labanus, Anti-Labanus, and Brathy enriches the generational myth of Ian and Protagonus, adding layers of complexity and resonance. Each sibling represents a unique facet of the elemental forces, contributing to a harmonious cosmic cycle. The stories of... Now, after that, I was going through the elements and how that relates. Now, this goes back to what I was discussing before with the four winds, and it also kind of it does actually dive into a lot of Indo-European beliefs, which I'd also been discussing. So just fill everybody in who hasn't watched the previous episodes if you want to kind of get an idea of what I was just discussing. That is something that I was discussing earlier that you can catch on some earlier episodes that I have been having as well. So that is there. Now, after that, what I want to get into is relating a few stories that I'd gone over last year, and this year I want to kind of elaborate on them a little bit more. And the reason for that is, like I said before, we kind of went off track last year. It was good episodes, don't get me wrong. We did discuss a lot of good stuff, but there was things that I wanted to actually dive into when I came into these stories, and I wanted to talk about them. So with that, the first story is the stories of Semiramis, Unis, and Ninus. Now, the stories of Semiramis, Unis, and Ninus come from a blend of historical records, mythological accounts, and ancient legends. They are associated with the early history of Mesopotamia and the ancient Assyrian Empire. Over time, these figures have been enveloped in layers of mythology, often blending fact and fiction. Semiramis, or Shamu-Ramat, is believed to have been a real historical figure who lived during the Neo-Assyrian period. She was the wife of King Shamshi Adad V, who ruled between 823 to 811 BCE, and the mother of Adad Nirari III. Now, Shamu Ramad ruled as regent after her husband's death until her son came of age. She is one of the few women recorded in ancient Assyrian history to have wielded significant political power. Now, Semiramis became a legendary figure in Greco-Roman traditions, where her story was greatly embellished. She was transformed into a mythical queen of Assyria, often credited with founding Babylon and constructing its iconic landmarks, such as the Hanging Gardens. However, these attributions are considered fictional. And I was debating on bringing this up, but I figured it was noteworthy, so I figured I would mention this. There's been also speculations on the things that actually occurred when the Jews were taken into captivity by the Babylonians. Here in recent discussions, there are some people who are speculating that maybe it wasn't Babylon that they were taken into captivity to, because at the time that this was supposed to have taken place, the Assyrians had sacked Babylon and brought it to the ground, destroyed everything. And there's evidence to indicate that what they did is they moved everything that concerned Babylon to Nineveh, and that for a time period they were actually calling Nineveh the New Babylon, or Babylon. So there's speculation that kind of insinuates that instead of being taken to the actual city of Babylon, that the Jews were actually taken to Nineveh, where that they called it Babylon because that was what they knew at the time period. You know what I mean? I mean, people didn't travel very long distances, so maybe they just weren't aware that this was Nineveh. They might have thought of it as Babylon, you know. So that was something that I did want to bring up. I didn't have it in my notes, and the reason for that was I did not know about this information until after I'd done all of this, and later on I learned it. But I was kind of debating on bringing it up at this moment, but then I was like, you know what, actually that's a good thing to actually bring up. So I did want to mention that. I did check out the time period too. This, at the time during the captivity, it would have been around the time that Assyria did sack Babylon, and Babylon sat empty and deserted for a certain amount of time period. So that's something to take into consideration. Now, the myth of Semiramis was said to be born of a goddess and raised by doves. This divine origin contributes to her legendary status. Semiramis married Onnes, Onnes, an Assyrian general, but her beauty and intelligence caught the attentions of King Ninus, who took her as his wife after Onnes' tragic death. She is credited with leading military campaigns across Asia and Africa, demonstrating exceptional strategic acumen. In one story, she is said to have conquered parts of India. Myths claim that Semiramis founded Babylon and oversaw its construction, including massive walls and the Hanging Gardens. Some accounts suggest that after her death, Semiramis was transformed into a dove, symbolizing peace and divinity. Onus, or Unis, was an Assyrian general and the first husband of Semiramis. His story is more mythological than historical and serves to highlight Semiramis's beauty and ambition. Onus fell deeply in love with Semiramis and married her. However, her extraordinary beauty and intelligence drew the attention of King Ninus, like I mentioned before. Now, Ninus demanded Semiramis as his wife. Onus, overwhelmed by despair and humiliation, is said to have taken his own life. This tragic event marked the beginning of Semiramis's rise to power as Ninus's queen. Ninus is a legendary king of Assyria, often credited with founding the city of Nineveh, one of the great capitals of the Assyrian Empire. While Nineveh was indeed a historical city, there is little evidence to support the existence of Ninus. He married Semiramis after her husband Onus's death and shared his rule with her. In some versions of the myth, Ninus died early in their marriage, leaving Semiramis to rule alone. Greek and Roman writers, including Diodorus Siculus, perpetuated the legend of Semiramis and Ninus, blending historical and mythical elements. The image of Semiramis as a powerful and sometimes controversial figure influenced medieval and Renaissance literature. While much of the legend is fictional, it reflects the grandeur of the Assyrian Empire and its cultural and military achievements. Semiramis has been depicted in various works of art, including paintings, operas, and plays, often emphasizing her beauty and strength. The tragic story of Onus adds a dramatic element to the myth, symbolizing the sacrifice made in the pursuit of power. Now, with that, I'm going to go into some stuff concerning another character that I brought up last year, which I have mentioned a couple times this time, and that is Sanachinathion, the Sanachinathion of Berytus, or Berytus, however you would say that. So, Sanachinathion of Berytus, a Phoenician historian, was reputedly writing in the pre-Christian era, is a figure shrouded in mystery and controversy. His works, as cited by later authors like Philo of Byblos, claim to preserve the ancient religious traditions of the Phoenicians. These texts have been interpreted as an attempt to rationalize or historicize the mythological framework of the Phoenician pantheon. Among the deities he mentions is a god referenced to as Teuo, or T-E-U-O, or Tu, T-E-U, in transliteration. This figure has drawn attention, especially in arguments framed against early Christians, where Sanachinathion's writings sought to contrast ancient pagan traditions with emerging Christian theology. The name Teo, which is T-E-U-O, or T-E-U, appears to stem from the Proto-Indo-European root Deu, and I've mentioned Deu in a few previous episodes, which these words stems from the Proto-Indo-European root Deu, which is linked to celestial or sky deities. In In Sanachuniathion's context, Teo is often associated with the heavens or divine authority, aligning him with other sky gods in Indo-European and Semitic traditions. Phoenician religion was heavily influenced by neighboring cultures, including the Egyptians, Mesopotamians, and Greeks. The inclusion of a figure like Teu may represent a syncretic blending of a local deity with Indo-European or broader Mediterranean traditions of sky worship. Sanchuniathon sought to demystify the gods, presenting them as deified historical figures or natural forces. In this light, Tueu might not only represent the sky, but also embody principles of cosmic order and authority. Sanchuniathon's writings, as preserved and adopted by Philo of Byblos, were often used by pagan philosophers in late antiquity to critique Christianity. They emphasize the antiquity and legitimacy of pagan traditions, presenting them as ritual and historically grounded in contrast to the new Christian faith. Tueo may have been cited as an example of a god representing eternal cosmic principles, suggesting that these ideas predated and perhaps superseded Christian concepts of divinity. Tuau appears to be a localized manifestation or linguistic variation of a broader archetype. As mentioned earlier, Tuaz shares etymological roots with Dyu, which is Dyeu, and represents justice, sky, and cosmic order. This connection reinforces the idea of Teuo, which is Teuo, as a celestial authority figure. The Greek Zeus and Vedic Dyaeus Pitar represents the sky and fatherly authority. Tuo or Tueo may be a Semitic adaptation or parallel of this archetype. In the Phoenician and broader Canaanite pantheon, El is a chief deity often associated with creation and the sky. Tuo could be a linguistic or conceptual derivative responsible and specific representing a specific aspect of El or another high god. The appearance of Teuo in Sanachuniathon's writings supports the idea of a universal archetype of a sky god, emphasizing light, authority, and cosmic order across diverse cultures. The Phoenicians, as maritime traders, likely integrated foreign influences into their religious practices. Teuo may reflect an amalgamation of local Semitic beliefs into Indo-European or other neighboring traditions. By invoking figures like Teuo, Sanachuniathon sought to establish the legitimacy and sophistication of Phoenician theology, contrasting it with what he perceived as the novel and less historical nature of Christian beliefs. The figure of Tuo, as referenced by Sanchuniathon, represents a fascinating intersection of linguistics, cultural, and theological history. While his precise identity remains speculative, the name's etymology and association with the Proto-Indo-European Dayu root suggests he was a sky god or a celestial authority figure. In Sanchuniathon's polemical writings, Teuo likely served as a symbol of the antiquity and legitimacy of pagan traditions, standing in contrast to the rising influence of Christianity in the ancient Mediterranean world. Now, after that, I'm going to be diving a little bit deeper. We're going to go into another interesting story, which I think a lot of people are going to be able to correlate with another story, which is quite interesting. But this is according to ancient mythology that most people don't hear about. So let me just read this and let you guys draw off of it what you may. Now this starts out with a guy by the name of Abibalus. Okay, Abibalus, also known as Abibal, which is Abibaal, was a king of Tyre in the 10th century BCE, and the father of the renowned King Hiram I. While historical records about Abibalus are scarce, his significance lies in his role as a stabilizing figure in Tyre's monarchy, and as the progenitor of a lineage that led to one of the city's most prosperous eras. Abibalus ruled during a period when Tyre was solidifying its position as a dominant maritime and trading power in the eastern Mediterranean. Tyre's wealth came primarily from its extensive trade networks, including the export of Tyrian purple dye, a luxury item highly prized in antiquity. Abibalus ensured the stability of Tyre by establishing a strong dynastic rule. This stability allowed his son Hiram I to ascend the throne without internal conflict and to focus on expanding Tyre's influence. Abibalus is remembered primarily through his son's achievements. His role is fostering a stable and prosperous kingdom. His role in fostering a stable and prosperous kingdom laid the groundwork for Hiram I's successes. Now, Hiram I, he ruled from approximately 980 to 947 BCE and is renowned for his architectural achievements, trading alliances, and contributions to the prosperity of Tyre. Hiram expanded Tyre's territories and influence through both diplomacy and commerce. Under his reign, Tyre became the dominant Phoenician city-state. He strengthened Tyre's maritime power, expanding its trade routes and establishing colonies, including settlements that would later grow into Carthage. Hiram undertook significant construction projects, including the expansion of Tyre's harbors and building of temples and palaces. He is credited with connecting the mainland city of Tyre to its island counterpart via a massive causeway. This engineering feat improved the city's defense and made trade engineering feat improved the city's defense and trade capabilities. Hiram formed a famous alliance with King David and later with King Solomon of Israel. This alliance was cemented through trade agreements and mutual support. Hiram provided materials such as cedar wood and skilled labor for the construction of Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. In return, Israel supplied Tyre with agricultural goods. Hiram's alliances with Solomon is prominently featured in the Hebrew Bible, particularly in 1 Kings 5 and 2 Chronicles 2. These accounts emphasize his generosity and the cooperative relationship between the two kingdoms. Hiram's reign marked the zenith of Tyre's power and influence in the ancient world. His diplomatic and economic policies set the stage for Tyre's enduring success. While King Hiram I's achievements are well documented, details about his immediate successors, including his sons, are less clear. The historical records suggest a period of relative stability following Hiram's reign, but there is little direct evidence of his sons' reign or their specific accomplishments. After Hiram I, Tyre continued to thrive as a major Phoenician power, but it faced increasing competition from other city-states and external threats, including Assyrian and Babylonian expansion. Hiram's descendants likely inherited a kingdom at its peak, but were tasked with defending its wealth and influence against rising powers in the region. The combined reigns of Abibalus and Hiram I represents a golden age for Tyre. They established the city as a cultural, economic, and political hub for the ancient Near East. Their legacies are intertwined with the broader history of the Phoenicians, whose innovation in trade, navigation, and culture influenced civilization across the Mediterranean. The stories of Hiram I's contributions to Solomon's temple have made him a figure of interest in biblical and Masonic traditions. These accounts highlight the interconnectedness of ancient civilizations and the importance of diplomacy and trade in fostering cultural exchange. Although Tyre faced challenges in later centuries, including sieges by Alexander the Great, the foundation laid down by rulers like Abibalus and Hiram I ensured its place in history as one of the great cities of the ancient world. Abibalus and Hiram I exemplified the leadership and vision that characterizes Tyre during its peak, while Abibalus laid the groundwork for stability and prosperity. Hiram I elevated Tyre to unprecedented heights through his architectural achievements, trade alliances, and diplomatic acumen. Together, they represent the golden age of Phoenician civilization, a period that left an indelible mark on the ancient world. The myth of Semiramis, Hiram I, and their associated narratives are steeped in themes of creation, construction, and the interplay of divine and mortal realms, which resonate with the cosmic and elemental mythology. With the elemental mythology we've just explored. By examining the symbolic elements of these historical and mythical figures, we can draw fascinating parallels and possible connections with the myth of Ian protagonists and their descendants, such as Cassius, Lebanus, Anti-Lebanus, and Brathi. Now, these are what I was discussing before I got into those stories. So with that being said, let me go ahead and just keep going forward. Now, Semiramis, the legendary queen of Assyria, is often associated with great feats of creation and construction, particularly the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, though this attribution is debated. Her story intertwines with themes of ambition, ingenuity, and a desire to leave a lasting legacy, traits that align her with Cassius, the bold pioneer. Semiramis's role as a creator mirrors the transformative power of fire represented by Cassius. Just as fire forges new paths, Semiramis's achievements symbolize humanity's ability to shape the world. Semiramis's ambition, while monumental, also reflects the dual nature of elemental forces, constructive yet potentially destructive, much like the interplay between Labanus, the sanctifier, and Anti-Labanus, the balancer. Her legendary status and enduring tales could be likened to Brathi, embodying the fleeting yet profound impact of inspiration. Hiram I of Tyre is famed for his collaboration with King Solomon in constructing the Temple of Jerusalem. This act of building a sacred space aligns with themes of sanctification and the elevation of the divine, connecting him to Libanus, the purifier and spiritual guide. Hiram's work on the temple reflects the refinement and spiritual elevation that Libanus embodies. The temple serves as a bridge between mortal and divine, much like Libanus's role in the cosmic cycle. Hiram's cooperation with Solomon represents harmony and collaboration, akin to the complementary roles of Libanus and Anti-Libanus in maintaining cosmic balance. The eternal flame in the temple, often associated with divine presence, resonates with the lineage of Ian and Protagonus, who birthed the forces of light, fire, and flames. Cassius is fire and action, representing the bold ambition and creative force seen in Semiramis's legendary accomplishments. Labanus is sanctification, which aligns with Hiram's role in creating sacred spaces and elevating the divine. Anti-Labanus, which is balance, reflects the necessary tempering of ambition and creation, ensuring harmony. Brathi, which is inspiration, mirrors the spark of genius and fleeting impact of both Semiramis's legend and Hiram's architectural contributions. The duality of creation and destruction is evident in both Semiramis's and Hiram's tales. Semiramis's ambition led to the monumental achievements, but also carried destructive potential. Similarly, Hiram's sacred work required balance and cooperation, reflecting the interplay of opposing yet complementary forces. both the mythological and historical narrative. Both the mythological and historical narratives emphasize the relationship between the moral and the divine, creation and destruction, and ambition and balance. These themes are central to the mythology of Aeon and Protagonus and their descendants. Semiramis' creative ambition echoes the primal forces of Aeon, driving the cosmos forward. Hiram's role as a sanctifier and constructor parallels Protagonus' refinement of creation, elevating it to divine harmony. The children of light, fire, and flames, Cassius, Labanus, Anti-Labanus, and Brathi, serves as archetypes for the forces that Semiramis and Hiram channel in their stories. Semiramis embodies Cassius's fire and Brathi's spark. Hiram reflects Labanus's sanctity and anti-Labanus's balance. In a broader sense, the myths of Semiramis and Hiram can be seen as human manifestations of cosmic principles. These stories of Semiramis and Hiram resonate deeply with the elemental myth of Aeon and Protagonus, illustrating how human legends often echo cosmic principles. Through their ambition, creativity, and balance, Semiramis and Hiram embody the forces represented by Cassius, Labanus, Anti-Labanus, and Brathi. Hypsiranius and Oasis are also figures that I want to bring up. Now, Hypsiranius and Osus are figures from Phoenician mythologies as preserved in the fragments of Senenchnathon as well. If you didn't hear me earlier, he's an ancient Phoenician historian whose work was later recorded by Philo of Bablos, which is later on in history. But these figures are significant in the cosmogony and mythology of the Phoenicians, representing early humans' interactions with nature, survival, and the development of society. Excuse me. Now, the name Hypsiranius translates roughly to high heaven or exalted sky, reflecting a connection to celestial or atmospheric elements. He is often depicted as a figure representing the heavens and their influence on early humanity. Hypsiranius is credited for the invention of shelters made of reeds and rushes, an important step in humanity's evolution. This aligns with the civilizing aspects of myth, where he introduces order and structure into human life. His name suggests a link to the heavens, possibly as a counterpart to his brother Usus, who is connected with earthly and fury elements. Together they embody the balance between the celestial and the terrestrial. Hypsiranius's rule as a creator and innovator places him in the lineage of mythological culture bringers who help humanity survive and thrive. The name Usus is associated with the earth and primal fire, He is often depicted as the first person to make use of fire, a transformative discovery that marked the turning point in human development. Usuus is credited with the invention of fire by rubbing pieces of wood together, an act that aligns him with the archetype of the firebringer, found in many mythologies such as Prometheus in Greek lore. He is also noted for creating the first raft and venturing out to sea, symbolizing humanity's expansion and exploration of the natural world. While Hypsiranius is linked to the heavens, Usuus represents the primal fury and adventurous spirit tied to the earth. His actions demonstrate humanity's ability to manipulate and conquer the natural world. Hypsiranius, which is heaven, represents order, shelter, and the stability of civilization. His connection to the heavens suggests inspiration from above, reflecting the divine or cosmic guidance in humanity's development. Usuus, which is earth and fire, embodies primal energy, creativity, and the drive to explore and transform. His connection to fire and the sea highlights humanity's ingenuity and adaptability. Together, they illustrate the duality of human existence, balancing the celestial and the terrestrial, stability and adventure, order and chaos. Hypsiranius and Usuus appear within the broader framework of Phoenician mythology, which emphasizes the interaction between natural elements and the divine. These myths often focus on humanity's relationship with the cosmos and the gods. Sanchuniathon's account of Hypsiranius and Usuus often offers insight into how the Phoenicians viewed their ancestors and their achievements. These stories serve as allegories for the early stages of human civilization. The mythological themes in the story of Hypsiranius and Usuus resonate with other Semitic traditions, such as the Akkadians and Canaanite myths, where early figures represent fundamental elements of existence and survival. Hypsiranius and Usuus represent the progression from primal survival to organized civilization, symbolizing humanity's ingenuity and ability to adapt to its environment. The interplay between the celestial and terrestrial forces in their stories echo broader mythological themes of duality and balance, where opposing yet complementary elements drive progress. Now, after that, I want to go into another thing that was mentioned by Sanchuniathon, which is the race of Hypsiranius. Now, there's another way that was pronounced apparently, but I'm going to say that right now because it's a hard word to say. But the race of Hypsiranius being connected to Agrias and Helios suggests a link to the Phoenician mythological tradition and the works of Sanchuniathon, a supposed pre-Hellenistic writer who chronicled earlier Phoenician mythology. According to Sanchuniathon, as preserved in fragments through, Philo of Byblos, like I've mentioned before, Hypsiranius was a mythical figure tied to early civilization. His lineage or people are associated with Agrias and Helios, whose name reveal their archetype roles. Agrias means hunter. He represents the skills of hunting, a key component in early human survival and the domestication of animals. Helios means fisherman. He symbolizes the mastery of fishing, another fundamental skill for sustaining early communities. These two figures are personifications of essential subsistence essential subsistence activities in early human societies. And my reading is really bad, and my pronunciation, not my reading but my pronunciation, so I apologize about that. Reflecting humanity's evolving relationship with the natural world. So these two figures are personifications of essential subsistence activities in early human societies, reflecting humanity's evolving relationship with the natural world. The connection between Ellipsiranius and Agrias and Helios likely stems from the mythological narrative of Hypsiranius as a figure tied to the heavens. Hyps equals high or sky. His race or people, the Ellipsiranius, would then symbolize a group blessed or guided by celestial knowledge and innovation. Hypsiranius or Ellipsiranius represents a figure of advancement, perhaps one who brought humanity closer to understanding the natural world through observation of the skies and patterns of the earth. His children, Agrias and Helios, could symbolize humanity's transition from foraging and wandering to a more structured, skill-based society that thrived on hunting and fishing. In Sanchuniathon's narrative, early figures like Hypsiranius and his descendants are semi-divine, representing humanity's gradual mastery of the environment. Agrias and Helios, as part of this lineage, would symbolize foundational cultural heroes akin to other mythological archetypes like Cain and Abel in the Judeo-Christian tradition, representing agricultural and pastoralism. And then there's Romulus and Remus, founders of Rome, with ties to survival and innovation. As a seafaring people, the Phoenicians deeply valued fishing, Helios, and hunting, Agrias, both of which sustained their maritime and land-based communities. These figures likely served as symbolic ancestors or archetypes for these critical skills. The story of Ellipsiranius and his race reflects universal themes found in mythologies worldwide: the hunter-gatherer phase of human development and the transition to skill specialization and subsistent strategies. Agrias and Helios, while tied to Phoenician mythologies, also echo broader European mythological traditions, where foundational skills and innovations are often attributed to semi-divine figures. You have Prometheus, bringer of fire, representing humans' mastery of technology. Then you have Cernunnos, a Celtic deity tied to hunting and animals. In this sense, the race of Ellipsiranius can be seen as a metaphorical bridge between the celestial, heavenly innovation and the terrestrial, earthly survival. The race of Ellipsiranius, represented by Agrius and Helios, symbolizes the development of essential survival skills in early human societies, rooted in Phoenician mythology and preserved in fragments of Sanchuniathan's work. Their stories reflect humanity's connection to both the heavens and the earth. Now, after that, I'm going to tell you about Chrysor. Now, Chrysor, whose name translates to golden sword or golden armed, from the Greek Chryse, meaning gold, and or meaning arm or sword, is a figure found in Phoenician mythology, as recounted by Sanchuniathan as well. He is a character imbued with mythic grandeur in embodying innovation, craftsmanship, and the human drive to conquer nature through skill and ingenuity. His story blends celestial symbolism with terrestrial mastery, making him a fascinating figure in ancient lore. Chrysor is said to be a descendant of the primordial gods and linked to the first humans who tamed the natural world. His epitaph, Golden Sword, suggests not only martial prowess, but also a connection to metallurgy, craftsmanship, and the divine mastery of tools and weapons. Chrysor is often associated with the invention of tools and weapons, particularly those made of bronze and iron. This aligns with his role as a mythic figure who symbolizes the leap from a raw, untamed world to one shaped by human ingenuity. The golden aspect of his name implies divine favor or celestial origins, making him as a semi-divine hero who bridges the mortal and the divine realms. Some accounts link Chrysor to the development of plowing and farming, as the sword could also symbolize the first plowshares, which brought fertility and abundance to the land. Sanchuniathan, a Phoenician historian whose work survives in fragments, which again I'm going to mention was preserved by, later it was preserved by writers like Philo of Byblos, identifies Chrysor as a pivotal figure in humanity's advancements. He is described as a master craftsman who tames fire and worked metals, symbolizing the transition from Stone Age to Bronze Age. A warrior and protector whose tools of war also served as instruments of civilization. A figure deeply connected to the cosmos, often portrayed as wielding the power of the sun or stars through his golden weapons. Chrysor is also associated with the god Hephaestus, which is Greek, or Ptah, which is Egyptian, and Ptah is also Ptah, which is Egyptian, both of whom were divine craftsmen. This connection highlights his role as a cultural and technological innovator. The golden sword or golden arm is a critical symbol in Chrysor's myth. Gold represents divine purity, purification, and immortality. Gold's incorruptible nature makes it a fit symbol for a hero who brings the moral and divine. Sword is a dual symbol of destruction and creation, representing the transformation of power, of tools and technology. Chrysaor's association with metallurgy ties him to fire, a force both feared and revered in ancient cultures. By mastering fire, Chrysaor embodied humanity's ability to harness nature's raw power for creative purposes. Chrysaor's potential connection to plowing reinforces his role as a bringer of civilization. In many ancient myths, the transition to agriculture is marked by divine intervention or heroic innovation, making Chrysaor a parallel to figures like Triptolemus, a Greek mythology who spread the knowledge of agriculture. Osiris in Egyptian mythology, who brought farming and order to humanity. Chrysaor shares traits with several figures from other mythologies. Prometheus, which is Greek, who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. Tubal-Cain, which is biblical, and that's the first metal worker and craftsman mentioned in Genesis. Then you have Cernunnos, which is Celtic, a deity associated with the natural world and abundance. Then you have Cother-Wakasis, which is Ugaritic, and that's a Phoenician craftsman god responsible for making divine tools and weapons. Chrysaor's story, though fragmented, offers insights into ancient views of progress and civilization. He represents the human capacity to innovate, adapt, and transform the world. As a mythical inventor, Chrysaor embodies the importance of craftsmanship and ingenuity. His golden sword symbolizes the dual role of tools as instruments of both war and peace. For the Phoenicians, Chrysaor likely served as a symbol of their maritime and metallurgical prowess. So that is what I wanted to go over this week. I was, like I said, going to change over to something else, but then I reviewed this and I was like, no, this is actually good stuff. So I did want to go through it, and heck, I might continue with this too. I don't know for sure at the moment, but I may just do that. This is actually turning out interesting for me. So with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy. I am going to go ahead and first check to see if anybody made any comments to me or anything in the chat. I did get another follower on Twitch, Waka Fool. Thank you for following me on Twitch. I do appreciate that. And also, nothing is on Kick, but I should post in the chat that this is live stream Ancient Mysteries. I've been doing that in my chat because I don't really put anything much in there. Most people put bots and everything on there, but I've never done it. So there is nothing on Kick, but it's not bad to have it on there. I did get a comment for another video on Rumble, but that's empty too. There's 3 people watching supposedly, so thank you guys for watching. I appreciate that. And 2 people are watching on YouTube. Peggy Witherspoon made a comment. Could that be Mystery Babylon instead of America? I don't know exactly what you say. Oh, she goes on to say, what I meant to say is there are some who believe that America is Mystery Babylon. Well, I know that a lot of people have their theories on Babylon or not Babylon, but the or America being like Atlantis and stuff of that nature. So, with me, I know that Babylon was well established. The one thing that I find kind of interesting is the thing I said about Nineveh. That is pretty interesting when you look at the time period. So I would mention the whole thing about people believing in the Americas being Atlantis. I believe Francis Bacon even wrote a book called the New Atlantis, New Atlantis, which he coined back then. And I know there's some people who believe that the Bermuda Triangle down by Florida is actually where Atlantis was and stuff like that. But those are the things that I know when it comes to America. There are people who believe that maybe Egyptians came to America and they have tombs that are down in the Grand Canyon. I've heard of that. There's other people who believe that Anastasia, however you would want to say, the Indians in the southwest part of the United States is associated with the Aztecs, and they in turn are from from Asia, from the Russian steppes and stuff, and they migrated across the Rainbow Bridge, which would have been the ice between Russia and Alaska, which later melted away. There's a lot of people who do believe that, so that is the best answer I could possibly give to that. So I hope I said enough to where it's adequate. So if anybody wants to make any more comments, I'd feel alright with answering them. But if you're in the chat and everything, and I do appreciate that, Peggy. Those were good questions. I appreciate that a lot. So, yeah. It looks like I am done. I'm gonna get out of here before anybody asks me any more questions, because that scares me. I'm a timid kind of guy. So, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, please like, subscribe, share, send me money, make me rich, because I am a poor boy. And I need all the money you can give me. So with that being said, I'm going to end this stream, and thank you again for watching. Goodbye.